Oh, hello, and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry,
I'm Stephen Berry.
and it's been an entertaining game week, I think, fair to say. We were going to record on Monday, we're now recording on Tuesday morning, but we thought, you know what, lots of people own Semenyo and Bruno and some other bits in there, so we thought we'd leave it. And I think it was good thing we did, Stephen, because what a game that was. A 4-4. No doubt we'll get onto that game later. But it's been an entertaining game week. But before we go into some of the games, Stephen, how's your team gone?
Not brilliantly. I mean, I got 57 points, but given the average of 60, that's not ideal. I got really fucked over by the Northeast Derby. Some self-inflicted. I didn't start Rose. I started South instead. Don't really know why. And then Hume didn't start, and the person that took his place, Mukier, got the assist and got 9 points. So that's 18 points that should have been mine. I mean, or 16, whatever matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16. Yeah. It was because he got 1 point. Yeah, 16 points that should have been mine. Which actually would have made it okay in the end. Considering I don't have Phil Foden, considering I don't have Penandez, I think that would have been a very strong return for me. But yeah, wasn't to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, I did start Roofs. I thought, Newcastle have had a really bad away record, and that place was going to be a cauldron. So he came away with 9. O'Reilly 6. Matty Cash conceding in the first minute. Thank you, Ezra Konza, for that. But then returns pretty much everywhere I look up, really. So captain Haaland 26 points, Foden with 11, Rogers was a bit of a punt, got 15. And then Saka with 11. So and then Semenyo last night as well. So leading me to probably my highest score of the season of 87 points. I used the 4 transfers, so I've got 2 this week. Really gutted I didn't go with my gut really and take out King for Harry Wilson, and then I wouldn't have started Bolton Maid, and Harry Wilson got another 15 points or something silly.
Yeah,
And shot up in price. I think that's one of the biggest things I noticed about the 5 free transfers. What it did is it created a
yeah.
crazy market. I mean, Harry Wilson was 5 million at the beginning of the week, and he's now 5.6.
Wow.
Foden, he's taken a couple of price increases as well. There's loads of movement in the market, to say this, let's say the least. So, yeah, it's been a bit mad. I'm not sure whether they will do it for the next time AFCON comes around. But yeah, Stephen, how do you think it's affected your thinking? Do you think it's a good chip, or not chip, but bonus, I suppose?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that what we can call it?
Yeah, I guess the thing that's made me do something a bit differently is on the prices. So, for example, I've already got rid of Mbembo because I knew he obviously is going to go to AFCON. Now, Manu getting 4 goals and him getting nothing, that's anyway, he's going to go for my team anyway, just for that alone. But
Yeah.
so you have to move quickly. Someone like a Semenyo as well. I mean, he was on the decline anyway, but then obviously with the 5 transfers, he really shuts off. So it's not just people gaining value like Wilson and Foden, it's also people losing value. So I think you do have to move more quickly and make sharper decisions. Given there's no European football this week, I think that's not too bad. Do I think it's
Yeah.
good? I mean, fundamentally, I think longer term we are going to be working towards a team or an FPL where it is a free hit every week. Maybe it'll be like a challenge or something like that. So literally every week you get unlimited transfers and you can pick your team. People go that goes against planning and whatever. But fundamentally, the game is about fun. The game is about bringing people in. This like, oh, this is great for the casuals is exactly what it is. Double chips is exact.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I don't really understand the railing against it because if it is more fun and it has more players, it becomes bigger, becomes harder to win, obviously, but
Yeah.
it becomes a bigger thing. It means that becoming top 100k means a lot more. People will moan like, well, there's a lot more luck involved and stuff like that, but that's always been part of the game, essentially. So,
Yeah.
oh look, I'm positive anything which brings more, not just brings more people into the game, but keeps more people into the game. So I think
Yeah.
overall, it's a ridiculous reason. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. Like they've really shoehorned it in. I think just
Mm.
have a third wildcard if they really want to do something like this. But
Yeah.
yeah, no. Overall, I'm positive on it.
Yeah, I understand why it brings more casuals into the game and things like that. But I mean, I guess what it does is it increases a lot more variance. And I think for people that like to plan, people that sort of pride themselves on building, various spreadsheets and so forth, it kind of makes their efforts a bit futile, I suppose. But then again, like, do you want it to be a club where there's only like, mathematicians and things like that winning stuff, or do you want it to be a more open game? I don't know, but it definitely makes it more fun. But let's move on to the games, and we mentioned it at the start, and what a game it was. Manchester United 4, Bournemouth 4. I mean, is it enough to say it was a tale of two halves? I think it was, because I think in the first half, Man United were pummeling Bournemouth. They really were in control of the game, creating lots of chances. I think in the first couple of minutes, Bournemouth had a couple of clearances in the 6 yard box from defenders, and Petrovic was very, very busy. And Buemo did have a few chances. I was very nervous as a person that just sold him. He had one particular in the first half that came over the top, and he sort of tried to volley it, and it would have been a spectacular goal had he got it right, and it just went over. But yeah, it was a good game, great game. But yeah, Bournemouth just didn't really want to take it lying down at all, and they came out of the first half, scored in the first minute of the first half. Evan Nilsson with a really classy finish. Obviously we've been critical of him in terms of his finishing in general. I think that's his second goal for the season after 13 games. It's not great record, to be honest, but see where he can kick on. And then Krupi comes off the bench and he scores as well, makes it 4-4. Bruno Fernandes has come away with a haul as well. Tavernier, I was looking it up actually. So Tavernier, if people were getting sick of Semenyo, and I think there's an argument for his price not quite being worth it. You could look at Tavernier, who's come away with 12 points in this game, played 90 minutes. But the person with the highest XG was actually Ahmad.
And takes their penalties as well.
Yeah, exactly right. So, it was a really interesting game in that respect. And how much is Tavernier? Tavernier can't be more than 5.5 million. Oh, that's tempting. But it does feel like a bit of a sideways move. But it could be a way of getting into a sort of Bruno Fernandes if you wanted to. He's hauled again, Stephen. I mean, how long is it before we have to own him?
Yeah. No. Yeah. No, actually, is that he's fundamentally, like, it is just a case of, like, if you play shit teams, it works. Like, they've had a run. They had a very, very kind run, which everyone knew about. Lots of people who are dead, like Virgil van Dijk, have started getting. Even Kanate has been getting. He's been ticking along nicely as well, and we know what he has been. Fundamentally, they've just played teams who are either bad or not very good at the back, i.e. Bournemouth. So when Man U's run swings, which it inevitably has to, which annoyingly, so they've got Villa and Newcastle next. Newcastle at St James's Park, quite importantly.
Hey, that run's pretty nice.
They then do have Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley. And you've got free hits, and you've got not free hits. Sorry, you've got the wild card coming in there. Oh yeah, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley. Jesus, yeah, I'd be very worried about not having him during that period, which I will do though. To be fair, I'm sticking to my guns on him. But yeah, look, I mean, Man U just are playing garbage teams or teams you can't defend, and their garbage players are doing all right. I guess it's as simple as that. I'm obviously being harsh because I'm quite annoyed, but I do think there's a point there, which is they've had a good run, Man U. They've had a nice run of fixtures. You have to say that. Is Bruno getting a lot more hauls than I thought he would? Absolutely, but nevertheless, he's not going to be an asset for the rest of the season. Like, once they start playing decent, middling, and good teams, he's not going to do anything.
I think the key. I mean, look, they're playing Aston Villa away next. That's not an easy fixture. It's actually a fixture they've struggled in historically. But Bruno, he could still be the person that pops up with the goal in a 4-1 loss. So whether it's owning him for that, I don't know. I think the bigger question is what happens to their team after Mbemo, Ahmad, Mazwari when they go off to AFCON, because we talked about this before, but Sesko came off the bench last night, put in a lovely ball for Cunha's goal. So does Sesko start as the 9, and then Cunha, Mount, and Bruno stay as like the sort of quarterback in that team, or does Bruno get pushed into a 3 in the front? And if he does, that makes him a much more appealing asset. You also got to make a point that Mason Mount's been playing really, really well. He had a shot in the first couple of minutes. It was an unbelievable. It was straight out the keeper, to be fair, but it was hit really hard. And I think on another day that goes in. And and then you're talking about Mason Mount potentially as sort of a push for the England squad, obviously for him, but then for us in our
Wow.
FPL team. So I mean, well, that's what he's after, isn't he? I mean, that's what all English players will be
Mm.
going for, won't they? So I think the key for me is this next game. But then even that, I don't think you can judge them on because Villa are a good team. Man United aren't very good against good teams, and they haven't had a good record at Villa Park. So I'm going to be starting Morgan Rogers, and I'm going to be fully expecting that he's going to do better than Bruno
Yeah.
Fernandes in this game coming up.
Yeah, I know this is very easy to say after a 4-4, but like neither side can defend. They both so Bournemouth have conceded 28 goals, Man U have conceded 26. For context, Fulham have conceded 26, Brentford have conceded 25, Nottingham Forest have conceded 25, Leeds have conceded 30. So this isn't just one game. Neither
No,
of them
true.
can defend. Like this is
Mm,
obviously when this is an unstoppable force meeting a very movable object last night, but it has been like that all season. Bournemouth shipped 4 against Villa as well, didn't they? Man, you've obviously had some bad defeats. Man City got quite a few busts, didn't they, from memory? So yeah, neither of them can defend, but they can both score. I would be very, very interested. Yeah, I think the Man U front three is interesting. Who's going to be the number 9? I think
yeah.
Sesko might be back soonish. Who's going to be the
Well, he
number
came off the
9?
bench. He came off the
There you
bench
go.
last
So,
night,
yeah.
so
So yeah, so is he going to be the number 9? Is Cunha going to be the number? I think Cunha is probably obviously the safest bet, but I would be more intrigued to try because I think Cunha is going to be a very popular pick. Understandably, I personally would looking at either getting a Mount or a Sesko in as something a bit more rogue. But yeah, looking at their back, looking at their defenders, maybe you would think about Casemiro because he's having to do a lot of running and he is still getting his def cons. I don't think did he get any last night? Probably. I'm assuming he did.
I don't know. But he's also
Yeah, but
suspended, shockingly.
oh right, there you go. So yeah, but it's, even then, there's other players out there getting def cons. I still don't like Casemiro as an asset, but
Yeah,
yeah, just I mean Leeds, Wolves, Burnley. You can't ignore that as a 3-run fixture. That's just
yeah.
That's just too tasty. I will annoyingly have to have a Man U asset during that period. I just can't. I can't ignore that.
Yeah, well, Bruno's approaching the 30% ownership mark, and Mbemba's at 20, but obviously that will dip. Cunha's only at 4, and that's just sort of top 3 of ownership for Man United players. I think Cunha at 7.9 million could be a really interesting switch option for those on Semenyo. But having said that, if you look at Bournemouth's fixtures, they got Burnley at home, sorry, Brentford away, Chelsea away, and then they go into a bit more trickier fixtures there, sort of moving into the Christmas period. I was moving towards potentially selling Semenyo, and I know a lot of people did.
Mm.
And I know it's like recency bias of like, yeah, he scored a goal now and whatever, he's got Burnley next. But I assume if we're looking at it purely objectively, after that Brentford game, is he still a potential sell?
I think you need to have a good bench. Chelsea have been a bit inconsistent. The manager
Mm.
has come out with some weird statement out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah,
Um, Arsenal at home, that's all of a sudden not what people thought it was. Spurs at home, Brighton away, Liverpool at home.
yeah.
Is it? I don't think that's terrible at all now. I think, yeah, if you'd asked me 4 weeks ago, maybe, but now, again, I'm not saying
No,
Bournemouth are going to win all those games, but
yeah,
can Semenyo score against Burnley, Brentford, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, Brighton, Liverpool, Wolves? Probably. Like
yeah,
you, I think you'd be. I've still kept him, and probably the player was touched to sell him and then bring him back for now. But anyway, given all the extra transfers, but I'm not selling him now. I would be
mm,
very very reticent about. And the annoying thing, he's on 4 yellow cards, so he might get banned for one of those games. But if he's banned at say
yeah.
Chelsea away, that might be a game that you bench him anyway. So it could land quite nicely.
Yeah, I think it's lends as well to the argument been making for a few weeks now. It's just especially over the Christmas period, you need to have a strong bench. Um, yeah, so I think it's one of those where I'm probably going to keep. I mean, I'm not going to do any transfers this week because my defenders that I've got on the pitch, I've got Roofs, which is Brighton away, which is fine. Gahey's away at Leeds, Truffler at home to Burnley, O'Reilly at home to West Ham. I mean, if I don't get at least 2 or 3 clean sheets out of that, I'm going to be pissed off. But yeah, I think in summary, I think if people are going for Bruno Fernandes, it's fine. But I think that I'm personally waiting for more information of what a Af- a post AFCON Man United team look like. I think that's going to be interesting.
Let's move on to let's do chalk and cheese. Let's do the Northeast Derby, which was not
Oh yeah,
too
it was.
high
Yeah,
velocity, lots of goals. That really that was the contrast of the Premier League for you, but entertaining in its own right. I think. I mean, it wasn't quite as feisty as I thought. It was a bit of a scrap at the end. Xhaka didn't get booked, which I think is probably the and
that's the
he
biggest
was
news.
and he was so calm in that game. I mean, I
Mm,
don't know if you saw after they took that photo, and you could hear him after saying there were some Sunderland players here. So like really, it was one of those
yeah,
things with Xhaka. If he needs to like turn up and go, okay, calm head, he can do it. Like, what if he has that
yeah,
determination, he will do it. What do I think it means though? For look, it means obviously not a lot to discuss other than the fact that I got very lucky that I sold Baltimore before. It actually looked like he thought he was going for a Newcastle goal. Like for a split second, he thought it was
yeah.
Gordon putting the ball in. And like I don't know. It's a great
I think he
finish.
just
It really is.
panicked. I just think he panicked. I think he just
Yeah,
panicked. That's all it was.
yeah. So yeah, not a lot to discuss about that. But what can we say again? So Newcastle again, very poor on the road. That Everton result, I think we just really do have to put this down as an anomaly, especially as Everton were quite bad or Everton just really went for it that day. And I think that says a lot
Yeah.
actually about Everton. Moyes is not the most expansive of managers, but he thought, let's go for Newcastle. It ended up backfiring for him. But I think that
Mm.
does actually say a lot about Newcastle on the road. Tior got 4,000 defcons in that game or something. I'll get the exact number. But no one else at the back four did from Newcastle. Big Dan Ballard did,
Yeah. Yeah,
as
that
did
first
Ronaldo, I
challenge.
believe.
Did you see that first challenge he made on Walter?
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
like how to get a crowd up and going for it. He absolutely cleared him out. And Mortimer went down going, and then he realised, oh yeah, that was actually a fucking good tackle.
Yeah. I've got him. He got 22 defcons in that game.
Jeez.
And then he even got 8 against Burnley, which is pretty good. But Man
Mm,
City 10, so he got it. Brentford 15. So when they're under the cosh, he's doing what he needs to be doing for them. So he's
mm,
okay. I don't see the need to get rid of him actually right now because he'll get me. He got yellow cards and he got 3 points at the end, but still that's okay. But again, Newcastle assets away from home, they're pretty worthless. And given how expensive they are,
yeah,
I mean, I have Teal, but would I buy him? No. I have him, and he's not doing anything offensively wrong. I think he'll get defcons against Chelsea, so I'm not in a rush to get rid of him. But would I buy him or any Newcastle player? No. Ramsdale's also expensive. They're I just don't. In short, I don't think you should have any Newcastle assets. Unless you want to do like a 1 week punt like Gordon at home to Burnley or something like that. They've already
yeah,
played Burnley at home, but whoever shit they've got coming at home. Yeah, then fine, but they are not long-term assets in your team. They'll batter some good teams at home, but you can't have them as a long-term asset. You just can't. They're not that team.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think yeah. Look, loads of people were going in on Bruno Guimaraes, and I just thought, yeah, he's having a little spell, but there's no way that he was going to keep that up. I think, and at 7 million, there's definitely more value out there for a midfielder. And I think it goes to what we said last week is that really, I don't see any of their players being that interesting. I mean, Dan Burn would have been interesting, but I mean, quite a horrific injuries. Apparently, punctured a
Yeah,
lung, broken
yeah,
ribs. I love the fact he tried to get up and keep going. That's so it shows what he's about.
yeah.
But yeah, I think any Newcastle assets to sell. I think it's disappointing about Isidore. I understand why he's playing this Bobby geezer because he's got full of energy and it's perfect what you need in a derby. But do you think it's likely that an Isidore would play against a team like, let's say, where they're playing Leeds in game week 18? Is he more likely to play an Isidore because Isidore's more on the front foot?
He's actually a bit of a rotator, Labrie. So this is the problem with Hume. Hume has started. I mean, Hume's played okay, but he's been rotated.
Yeah,
Laffy, if there's a few players, Isidore, like I mean, even the fullback Mukier hasn't started every week, so he's actually rotated. It's only Xhaka, Robes, Siddiqui, who's now off to AFCON, who
Yeah,
really
big
played every
loss.
week. Yeah, Talibi's also been rotated. So I don't. I mean, my friends who are Sunderland fans say say that he's not usually a rotator, but he has the option to. He does that, and I guess if you're Sunderland, where you are running, you're chasing, it's a tiring game. So I
Mm,
wouldn't write off Isidore given how cheap he is, but it's a Labrie roulette, unfortunately. Other than Granit Xhaka, other than the two DMs and Rose
yeah.
and Ballard, the rest are not losing their place risk, but rotation risks.
Mm,
In particular the attackers.
mm.
You also remember he goes from back four to back five at times as well, which obviously means somebody has to lose their place in midfield.
Yeah,
So
because the thing
yeah,
is,
so that's
I'm
an issue.
always I'm always really impressed with Isidore when he comes off the bench.
Mhm.
And I think that he just provides like a little extra needle, I guess, because he's been at the club for a long time. But yeah, I just would love to have a player like that in a starting more often. And if he did, I think at 5.5, he is the best 5.5 forward in the game. Because you could bench him some weeks and be fine with it, but if he was starting every week, you'd probably want him there, and then you can focus on the midfield, and that could enable you to have like a Bruno, Foden, Saka, and a Haaland. You could have all those four,
Yeah.
and have some budget elsewhere. So yeah, I mean, I did watch the first half of that game. I did turn it off midway through because I thought, well, I better watch Tottenham, and then I decided that I'd rather, put my head for a meat grinder. So I turned that off. I went back and saw that the World Tomato scored an own goal, and I was like, brilliant, great for my fantasy team. So it was all around a pretty bit of a disastrous Sunday afternoon, to be honest, and did not help the hangover that I had from Saturday night. So yeah, I mean, I think I probably well. I have Walter Made still, but he's got Chelsea at home. They do have a better record at home. I probably will keep him for that fixture. And then
I
they've
can see
got
him do something in that game. Easy, easy.
yeah, and then they've got Man United at Old Trafford on Boxing Day. Again, Man United, we've said they're defensively not great, so I probably could keep him for that as well. I think like I'm probably not going to make any transfers short of injury for the next 2 game weeks. It's just not my biggest fire. Like I've got 2 transfers in the bank at the moment. If I save the next 2, I'll have 4, and then I can probably do something a bit more interesting and creative. Like I said, Isidore is really in my thoughts. If I knew that he was going to start every game, he'd be banging my team every time because he just looks good. He passes the eye test easily. He makes nice runs. He's properly aggressive, and he's a fan favorite as well. So he really feeds off that. But let's move on. And for a change, I'm going to be talking about your mob
Yeah,
because it makes me feel
yeah.
better than talking about mine. Wow. Okay. So look, I think what's funny, right? Just parking FPL for a small second, is how the Arsenal fan community have reacted to this. They have reacted like they've lost, and it definitely shows a mentality. Fine, you want to be winners, you want to win every game. Fine, okay, good. But you haven't won the Premier League in what 20 years, and the reaction is like you're owed the Premier League, right? And it's like, oh, we have to win from here. We have to win from here. And it's like, the Premier League, the reason why it's the best league in the world is because anyone can beat anyone on their day. Like Arsenal going to Bournemouth, as you said, is a shaky fixture. They've beaten them there before, though admittedly with the red card. They've got good players and they've got a great manager. So I think that the way I describe Arsenal in the first half was sluggish. They really wasted that half. They really just didn't do much and like didn't have a shot on target until the 70th minute or 60th minute, something like that. But I think the other thing to mention is Saka is the only person really creating anything in the game. You look at
Yeah.
Trossard and Martinelli, they're so selfish as players, which has its moments. Like they cut back in and try and score a goal. But the problem is that then that means that the defender knows all they have to do is make sure they mark the cut in because they're not going to get the cross across. But with Saka, they just put 2 people on him and then he can't create anything. Wolves scored 3 goals and lost the game. And it's just like that just shows how blunt Arsenal's attack was. And I think obviously Saka's still worth owning. Obviously, a defender is still worth owning. I'm not sort of poo pooing that per se. But what do you put this shakiness down to, Stephen? Are they getting nervous?
It's
Injuries? What?
100% nerves. I mean, all Arsenal fans are like, you got to remember, like Arsenal have come third. Sorry, not third. Sorry, they've come second 3 times in a row before and ended up winning the league. But that was in the pre-social media era. There is a lot of neuroticism. As an Arsenal fan, I feel it, and as rival fans, what do? They feed it. I would do that, and that's got to have an impact, right? I mean, Arteta seeing the bridesmaid photos of him. This has got to at some point start bleeding in. Now, there's two ways that this could go. You saw Rice in particular furious with everyone, like saying, "What the hell? We've gone out." They could take this as like, "Okay, we've gone out of jail. We can do something."
Mm.
Alternatively, it could go completely the other way. And considering that Man City, I mean, then that's not helped. As I said last week, Man City conceding 4 goals against Fulham, winning, getting battered by Palace, winning. Like it just you just feel the inevitability coming of what's going to happen. And we do keep getting injuries. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell?
Ben
I
White.
mean,
Ben White pulling up
Ben
there.
White.
I mean, the thing is, he hasn't played much football all season, and then he plays 3 back-to-back games, and Arteta's surprised he's pulled up in the first few minutes. Like, he clearly
Yeah,
needed a rest. He clearly needed some time off. Like,
it's always been an issue. Like even under Wenger, this was a problem for us. I mean, we've just lost our soft tissue person. And basically, he was from Chelsea, and since he left, Reece
yeah,
James hasn't gotten injured, and now this has happened. So everyone's saying, "Aha, he was the," which I think is a bit harsh.
yeah.
Um, what does it mean? Look, what does it mean? So you got to remember, right? You know, this is Wolves. Wolves are on track to get 5 points by the end of the season. Gonna obliterate derbies, right? Like just leave that in the dust. Um, Look, a few things. Odegaard didn't start. I think Eze was really poor in that game, actually.
Mm.
There was a lot there from that team. He wasn't the only one. Zubimendi, I don't think had his best game either. Hinakapi was quite poor. There's a few players out there. They just looked about like, oh, it's Wolves. We don't need to bother. With Everton away next, who haven't got any of their players, but Moyes has got a good record against us. We got Brighton at
Yeah.
home, a Villa at home, Bournemouth away, Liverpool at home. We don't have to compete in the Champions League. Thankfully, we're already through in the top 8, or basically through. I think goal difference. We have to have a crazy swing. Dyche away. I still like Saka as an asset. He runs every week. I still haven't written off Coquerez. I've got him in as a bit of a punt. I wouldn't completely write Arsenal off, but let's put it this way. I'm much more comfortable having Mateus Nunes, Foden, Haaland in my team than I am, say, Timber, Saka, Gyökeres. Like, let's just be frank. And they're roughly the same price, give or take. We're top of the league. Wolves are still shit. Don't think, well, that's the one thing don't take away from this. Don't think Wolves are suddenly back. No. Still target Wolves. Still very much go after Wolves like a train. But
Mm.
I'm give them one more game. If they really struggle against Everton away when they haven't got Grealish, they haven't got Njai, I believe as well. They haven't got who's that DM who's off
Grealish
to
out? No, you're
yeah, he's
thinking
injured, I think.
Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall, you're
Dewsbury
thinking.
Hall's also out as well. No, they've lost half their team basically. Yeah, they've got quite a few injuries. Yeah, Grealish is out as well.
Okay, interesting. I didn't pick that up.
Yeah, so they're going to be a very injury racked Everton team. If they
Yeah,
struggle
yeah.
there as well, I think the writing is on the wall for them, basically. Not just for the league, but also from an FPL perspective as well. They just become because their players are expensive, right? Players are all expensive. They just become far less interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think looking at the fixtures, I think after that Liverpool, maybe after that Forest game, so game week 23, Man United at home. From then, they do have quite a nice fixture run. So I'd be tempted to go
Yeah,
back for a defender from then, and also that could be when Gabriel's back. So there could be a nice
yeah.
timing there for the run. But it's definitely come at a bad time for them. But you said the writing is on the wall. What does the writing say? Is it sell all Arsenal assets, or is it just don't rely on the defence?
Keep have Saka and yeah, maybe
That's it.
the thing is, where else are you going to get clean sheets from? You've got Man City. Okay, I guess maybe Dyche and Everton, but again, they're like no. Actually, I think they're still one of the best. But I get don't do double Arsenal defense. Put it that way. Don't have Raya and Timber. Don't have Timber and White. Well, White's injured, but I mean, Lewis Skelly is back as a bit of a punt. He'll start getting more games, and he's very attacking as a fullback. And Arsenal's run isn't completely terrible, so he could be quite an interesting punt. But either way, don't have double. I mean, I was talking about having triple Arsenal defense. That's long gone. You just have one Arsenal defender, I'd say.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. When you mentioned Man City, those chasing you down, and yeah, it was a really impressive performance. I mean, we said last week that would be a really hard fixture, and it turns out that Palace going away to Europa League. I don't think that's the reason why they lost, because I mean they played a second string team. They were playing against, I think they're like the second in the Irish league or something.
Yeah.
So really, like not really a game they needed to worry about. Mateta started, played, looked quite fatigued to be honest. Sarr played as well, so you thought, okay, when the team sheet came out, so okay, this could be a really hard afternoon for Man City. But they weathered the storm, and I think they hit the post a few times. Palace as well. They had a couple of really good chances, and Mateta just seems to be. I don't. I mean, Gary Lineker's talked about this quite a lot. That strikers go on runs of good and bad performances, and it just seems to me like he is kind of on that run now where he can't hit a barn door. Now, look, we know that he could easily get a hat trick out of nowhere, but. It seems to me like he's on a bad run. Obviously, Sarr's going to AFCON. I don't think any other Palace players are going, but that's a big miss for Sarr. But Kamada looks really interesting. Looks really good. And is it Pinto? Pinto's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Pino? No.
Pino. Sorry, yeah, Pino's looks quite interesting as well. I think they've got some interesting attackers there, but. I honestly don't know. I think Glasner's probably looking at that, going, "How have we lost that game? How have we not scored a goal?"
Yeah.
I think like their XG in that game was at least 1.5, something like that.
It was 1.88 to 1.19 of Man City. But what you got to remember is Man City's XG really shot up at the end, where basically Crystal Palace was like, "For fuck's sake, we've lost this," and sort of basically threw in the towel. For most of that game, even at 1-0, I think even at 2-0, well, definitely at 1-0. It was all Palace basically. City had a lot of possession, but weren't really doing anything with it. But Mateta, as you said about Mateta's always been that player, right? I mean, yeah. Remember, we thought he was absolutely awful for ages when he joined. He'd been at Palace for a long time. Then he went on that run. We're like, oh, this guy's great. So he's always been that type of striker. I mean, I guess the Bournemouth 3-3 sunrise, right? He got a hat trick and then misses an open goal in the last minute. So that one game.
Oh yeah, Christ, yeah. I mean, the other thing to mention is Man City's all of Man City's shots. They had fewer shots, but they were more on target. So I think they had 10 shots and like 6 or 7 were on target, and Palace had like 18 or something, and like 4 or 5 off on target. So yeah, it's I think that's just what it come down to, that. Mateta just didn't test, or Crystal Palace didn't test the goalkeeper enough. But it was an impressive win. Haaland getting the 2 goals, obviously one being a penalty. So yeah, it's great to see Phil Foden back in my team, back in teams across the FPL community, but also playing really well. And again, this all bodes well for future, England 26 in the World Cup. But I think it shows that Foden, I mean, he must be on quite a high ownership by now. What's his ownership? 35%. Wow, he's 8.8 million. Before this little run, he was on 8. So like he's really, really gone for it, and I think he is a must-have. I'm pretty happy with the triple up with O'Reilly in there, I think that it's still worth doing that. And with Palace, I mean, outside of Gahey, Munoz is now out for a long time. Is there anyone that we could see being a potential option?
I mean, Nathaniel Klein is still there. Wow, I've forgotten about him. Like, how long has he been there for? My God, like, how old is Nathaniel Klein? Like, my God, fair play to him.
3.8 million.
You got to remember that all 3 of them, so Gahey, LaCroix, and Richards, get lots of defcons and even get bonus points there. Because Palace don't really want possession, so they're constantly getting clearances and the tackles and things like that. So I mean, why Gahey has morphed into Steve Bruce in that 93-94 season where he got 18 goals, I don't understand. Like, he's never done this. Then all of a sudden, like, you've already got you're on a free transfer, Gahey. Calm down. You're going to leave. Don't worry. Like, I think Real Madrid have already said that they want you. You've got this, mate. Chill. look, so I think any of those three are still quite good because then they're all still quite cheap. And look, they're not going to play Man City every week with Haaland just doing Haaland things. I think one thing that's perhaps gone under the radar with FPL on City is, are we seeing the end of Pep Roulette? He started that same back four
Oh,
quite consistently now.
yeah,
Nico the DM has played every week. Reinders the only one. So I mean, so I think Doku was injured and stuff like that. So Bernardo, there's one position. So whether it's between Doku, Silva, maybe an Oscar Bob. But even Marmoush, even though he's now off to AFCON, even he wasn't getting into the team. So
yeah.
it looks like that 11 that play, with the exception of Bernardo Silva, probably that team every week. And a huge FPL headache with Man City, as we know for years, was Pep Roulette. I think that maybe he's gone. I don't know. It looks like it so far anyway. That team looks to be playing
Now
pretty
you said
consistently.
it. Now you said it. He's definitely going to come back, isn't it? Really. I mean, the only reason
Yeah.
why Doku didn't play is because he's picked up a small hamstring injury, I believe. So,
Yeah. So there's that one position. So there's there's where Bernardo Silva played. There is one where you're like, okay.
yeah,
But when's the last time Ake played, for example? I don't remember that for a while. They've
yeah.
got that like yeah. I mean, Ake would always get minutes, but he hasn't played in ages. Maybe he's playing in the Champions League. I don't know. I haven't followed him that close in the Champions League, but yeah, it looked like that team looks pretty consistent now, as in terms of X minutes. And if you have a City player who's playing 90 minutes, that's very powerful.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Exactly right. I think, yeah, I mean, Shirky as well. We've got to talk about him. I mean,
Mhm.
look, if you're not owning a Man City defender and you want to actually go more out attack, and maybe you're of the
Yeah.
camp of not really believing in their defense, I mean, I think that's definitely an option. Um, could you see yourself owning like a Haaland, Foden, Shirky? I mean, it seems a bit mad to take up so many spots there.
Why not? Honestly,
Yeah,
why not? Like, they're scoring. They've got West Ham next, Nottingham Forest away. They've got a defeat coming at the stadium of like, come on, Sunderland, you can do this for us. Chelsea at home, Brighton at home, and yeah, it's actually not it's not the best after West Ham, to be fair, but it's still, I mean, it's still not terrible, and it's also games you think they'd score in. Yeah, I don't see why having, because I'm guessing Turkey's quite cheap. Is he 7 million, something like that?
he's
Cheapish,
six
so.
point something, 6.5, I think.
There you go. So yeah,
Yeah.
Reinders is completely fallen out of. He's right back now. Basically, he's still getting shots on target and stuff, but then just doing
Yeah,
nothing.
so yeah, he had quite a few chances, and he just seems to fluff his lines. So I think his XG must be quite high, but it just can't finish. But that will
Yeah, I mean,
change. Then and
he's
he's
gonna get like a 25-point haul at some point, but you're gonna have a lot. I mean, predicting when that's gonna be is gonna be very difficult. So yeah, Cherky is plays for the forward, that he's a much safer bet.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. You wanted to talk about the West Ham Villa game, which again another 5 goal thriller, goal in the first minute. Yeah, what can we say about that? Rogers with a double.
Just two really good goals from Morgan Rogers. Like, wow. I just want to talk about them quickly
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I want to sort of kill some hype on both sides. Right. Villa are not in the title race. I'm sorry. They're just not. Like, Arsenal were very bad again. Arsenal, we were very bad when we played them. Fair enough, they did what they had to do. We conceded a last minute goal, but we were very bad in that game, and they just won it. Morgan Rogers, as good as he is, isn't going to keep scoring these, not just one worldie, two worldies every week. Like, that is going to stop. He's a great player, but Aston Villa are just really like out, and they're playing. Let's be frank, they are playing West Ham. West Ham had a better XG than them. West Ham looked at times like they were dominating the game. Villa, chill. Like, they've also got Europe as well. The Villa train is gonna come off the tracks. I mean, Emery, once City go ahead of Arsenal and Emery doesn't need to just annoy Arsenal anymore, then he'll give up again. Like, just they've got Man U at home next. They've got Chelsea away, they've got Arsenal away, Forest away, Palace away. Their run is not ideal. As much as I love Morgan Rogers, I can't, as I said, I just cannot see him scoring all those worldies every week. So, a great player. We'll love him. Obviously, can't wait for him to play for England. But
yeah.
like, I'm not interested in them. Basically, again, same with Matty Cash. Is Matty Cash going to keep scoring worldies every week or assists of the year every week? It's
Right,
going to
yeah.
stop at some point. Only I guess the only caveat to that is we said that about Nottingham Forest last season, didn't we? We said at some point, stats will tell, but that never did in the end until this next season, obviously.
Yeah.
West Ham, West Ham getting better? Probably actually. Yeah, I think yeah, they are starting to turn a corner a little bit. Jared Bowen is going to be 100 million% owned because they have I think it's game week 18 or something. Fulham, so they have Man City next, but then after that, Fulham, Brighton, Wolves, Forest, Tottenham, Sunderland, Chelsea, Burnley, Man U. I can't remember who we were talking about earlier, saying can that put Cementia was Cementia, right? Can he score in every game? That
Well,
run, probably,
well,
probably,
Walter Made, Walter Made owners. I mean, about similar
yeah.
price point could be a good switcheroo. Um, yeah, he's definitely seems to be doing well. But then I think the West Ham's problems are not going forward. They're really in the defensive line, and Nuno looked a bit dejected at the end of the game because he just knows that that was a game they should have won. They should have won that game. Like they just stepped off Rodgers for especially for his second goal, which was an absolute peach. Great goal, great finish. But I think that definitely owning Bowen in that run could be really interesting for me. Really, really
Yeah, yeah.
interesting.
He'll be a very, very popular pick then. I just they look more hopeful as well now.
Mm.
The fans are behind the manager. I mean, Burnley, we will talk about a bit later. Burnley going down the pan has helped. You've got to remember though, there's still that one place, and Leeds turning it around is got to be worrying for them. Forest
Mm.
battering Spurs. So I wouldn't rule out West Ham doing it. They're only one bad result away from the fans completely turning, then that place becomes hostile and very violent, and it goes wrong. But Nuno's doing a decent job there. Bowen's a decent. Bowen somehow is. He's just a very good player, isn't he, Jared Bowen? I think because he's
Yeah.
old and he's a late developer. It's like Antonio was the same. Because he's developed late, you really write them off. But actually, they just got really good late, and he's just a very, very good player, Jared
Well,
Bowen.
he's
He just he
29 years
plays.
old. He's not that old. Like
Yeah,
he's just been
but
around a long time.
like was he at Hull for ages, wasn't he?
He was at Hull.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, Andy Robertson was at Hull, right? That's nothing wrong with playing for
Harry
Hull.
Maguire.
Was he at Hull as well?
Mm.
What a hotbed of
No,
talent
no.
that region is. It's just really is that simple. He's a very, very good player, Jared Bowen, and he's scoring goals in a not a great team, and he has done for a very long time now. I hope
Would
he
and would
actually.
you
It's a shame that he's
would you
left-footed actually, because otherwise he probably would be on the plane for England, but trying to he's up against Saka and Foden, which I think that again doesn't help
yeah.
him. But yeah, they're
So
obviously not in Europe. He's just a very good player, Jared Bowen.
so would you be considering like selling like a Watermade for him or even like a Mateta if he's still owned after this Man City game, obviously?
I'm giving Gokares one more shot against Everton, depending on how he does in that game. If Gokares doesn't do anything, then yeah, Bowen will be into my team definitely.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Because I think you've given me that idea now, and I think I'm going to hold this week. And I've just written down in my notes Watermade to West Ham before Boxing Day because I think that'd be a really interesting shout. I've got one of my friends has got a free hit, and she was asking me about when to play it, and I was saying game week 18 because they
Yeah.
do have game week 18 has got quite a few, as you very famously have said, shit playing shit.
Mhm.
And it'll be quite an interesting week to play it. Rita's also got her bench boost to play as well, and I'm also looking at game week 18 for that. It seems to me that would be quite a good one and a good way to celebrate the Christmas break, of course. Um, but yeah, so you're not that keen on Morgan Rogers though. I mean, I brought him in as a punt. I thought, why not? And he scored 2 goals, which definitely made my misery of
He
Tottenham
surely can't do that every
better.
week, can he? He's an
He's
unbelievable.
not
I
going to
love
do.
Morgan Rod. He's a great player, but you can't keep asking the boy to keep doing that every week, can you?
He's not going to do that
Surely not.
every week, but he's the most consistent player in that team. Like we talked about the
Mhm.
sort of Milan Watkins kind of trifecta of who plays where and all the rest of it. But like, surely he's the person that plays every single week in that team.
He is.
Like, so then if you've got a good attacking team, right? Surely he plays. No.
I just think he's Foden money, he's Cherky money. I just can't see him doing it every week. I
Oh,
just can't.
he's
He can't. It can't keep going on like this, can it, Barry?
it can, it can.
I mean, look,
Um,
he's an unbelievable player. Like he's an unbelievable player. I just think the Villa train. There's signs that it's already going off the rails. In fact, actually, when you know the Villa train's going off the rails, the second people say they're in the title race. Remember when Emery did that? We're in the title race, and then they lost every game. So the train is going off the rails. I'm afraid. I say love Morgan Rogers, great player. He should start for England as the 10 over Jude, in my opinion.
wow.
However, he cannot keep doing what he's doing every
So
week. Unfortunately, he
so
can't.
Mor- so Morgan Rogers is 7.1 million. He's 12.5% owned. They have Man United at home next, Chelsea away, Arsenal away. I think those are fixtures that are built for a Morgan Rogers because like so let's make the assumption that United are shit, right? And they're going to play and they're going to go there thinking they're going to win. They've got lots of players. They're going off to AFCON, not very good. Aston Villa win that game. Chances are he gets some good minutes in that game and plays and probably scores, right? Chelsea away. Okay, that's a difficult fixture. But again, like he's playing against his old mate Cole. He's doing quite well, stealing his celebration, everything else like that.
Mm.
I think he's going to want to show off in that game. Arsenal away. Big game. Arsenal could be shaky at that point. They could be nervous. They could have just got
And
over the line against Brighton. Everton could have been a difficult, turgid game. Villa have got your number. They have done well there before. Then he goes into the
yeah,
nice run of Forest, Palace, Everton. I think, to be honest, at 12.5% owned, 7 million, I don't think there's a better player at that price point in the game right now. I just don't think there is. And I think that even if he
yeah.
pops up with the occasional points here and there, like so at Arsenal he's got 2 points,
He wasn't
and
brilliant
Brighton
against Arsenal. He wasn't brilliant against
no,
Arsenal, to be fair.
but then
So
but then but then Brighton he's got 6, he's got 3, 15, 2, 1, 3, 7, 5. So look, he's getting return every other game. Two,
he's scoring
maybe two.
miracle goals though. Like it was the free kick he scored. Like he's. I mean, again, this is me saying this, right? A great football player, uber talented, all that sort of stuff. I actually think he will. I mean, I think longer term he'll end up at a Real Madrid or somewhere like that. Maybe, but I don't know. But like
Probably, yeah.
from an FPL perspective, he can't keep scoring worlds every week. He surely at some point they must stop. Villa still pretty turgid. West Ham to get dominated by West Ham at any point is not acceptable. They're now spoken about as in the title race. The wheels are. I hear your point. Don't get me wrong. I hear your point, and I'm not. If I had Rodgers, I wouldn't be rushing to sell him either. So I'm not completely convinced by my own point here. But everything I'm seeing from Villa is that he's ruined Arsenal seasons already. Emery's won his FA Cup final, so like it's done for them.
You're so bitter. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Well, let's move on. There was one more game we wanted to talk about, seeing as we're running a bit over after this one, and that was the Burnley Fulham game.
oh dearie me.
Yeah, we mentioned this. Like, I mean, again, another 3-2, like ridiculous game. I don't know whether it's just the fact that everyone's really tired, and that's the reason why there's loads of goals going in. But you know, crazy. What a game.
Well, I mean, ridiculous for other reasons. I mean, Burnley. I mean, obviously, the first goal was just calamitous. I mean, the thing is about Burnley, their first goal that they conceded is just like awful, just like
Oh yeah,
Sunday
Hartman
league.
completely missed it, didn't he? Ridiculous.
Yeah, and then the goal that they scored was lovely. Unbelievable through ball by
Yeah, really good
Cullen
goal. Yeah.
on a sixpence. Great first touch, great finish. You're like, okay. But again, that's just been Burnley all season. They're very good going forward. They are, but I mean, there's bad at the back, and then there's them. They are just awful at the back. Wolves have a worse defensive record than them, but that's because they can't do anything in attack, and they're just constantly the law of averages. Eventually, they're going to concede more. Burnley just are awful at the back. I think you have to blame Scott Parker for this because yesterday when you watch him, he looks okay. Dubravka's a good keeper. Tinzavia isn't the best, fine, but yeah, they just cannot defend. They've got the highest XG every week by a mile. That actually means Dubravka as a 4 million keeper is fine because he should make saves. Although he had a very very poor game against Fulham. but like they are really comical at the back, and they're going to ship lots of not just 1 goal, 3 goals, 4 goals. A bit. If you were to ask me, would you rather have an attacker playing Wolves or an attacker playing Burnley? I'd honestly would say Burnley. Like they are absolutely a calamity at the back,
Do you
and
think
are
they've
going to be
given
for the
up?
rest of the season. No, I don't think they've given up at all. I think they're really behind the manager. I
Mm.
think the fans are behind the manager as well because, let's be frank, Scott Parker isn't probably going to go anywhere. He's not going to go to Bayern Munich like Company did, and they play. I don't know what it was about Scott Parker. It was the same when he was at Fulham. Actually, they would play good stuff, but just it wouldn't work somehow. I mean, at least at Fulham they were bit better at the back, but like I think, yeah, I don't think they've given up at all. Actually, I think the opposite of that. They were 3-1 down against Fulham. They still went for. They got this. They got that goal to come back into it. They actually
Yeah.
had a higher XG than Fulham overall. They are just so shit at the back. I don't really know how to say it. By
Yeah.
individual errors, cohesion, XG, like big chances. By every measure, they are terrible at the back. I don't mind. I don't mind Cullen. I think he's quite cheap and he's quite interesting. Like Foster, isn't it? Right? Yeah,
Hmm.
he's quite cheap and if you need somebody as an enabler, he's okay. But yeah, I just target Burnley basically.
Hmm.
If you've got all these transfers, make sure you have somebody playing Burnley every week. What's their next fixture? Oh, it's Semenyo. There you go. Not having a Bournemouth player against this Burnley team, I would be terrified, quite frankly. Bournemouth is really a really attacking team against that Burnley defense. That could be a massacre. And that could actually be Scott Parker's last game. So I'm sure the owners are quite ambitious at Burnley. Um,
Yeah, yeah. I do wonder when they get sick of him and they just go, right, you're off. Yeah, I think Burnley are pretty much done. The what's annoying is whenever Emma Smith Rowe has played, he's got an easy tap in. And King, who plays in his position, who I have in my fucking team, whenever he plays, he never gets those fucking easy tap ins. He always gets the
yeah.
bloody shot away or the goal disallowed at Chelsea, like he did at the beginning of the season for some nonsense. Like it is ridiculous. But having said that, I think Fulham do have some nice fixtures, and I guess the question is where do you go if you wanted to own? I would probably more likely look at an Anderson, but obviously with Bassi going off to with Nigeria, will they be as defensively sound? But again, do you need Anderson to do that because does get like 20 million defcons every game? So
Yeah, but they're playing
yeah,
Forest and West Ham next. That's also another reason why Harry Wilson has become popular. But after
interesting.
that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm not rushing to buy. They had Burnley,
No,
so I mean, to be fair, you were smart if you got Wilson or someone in beforehand because they had that Burnley fixture, then Forest, then West Ham. A bit like was it Man U have that trifecta of shit coming up. But after
yeah,
that, they're Palace away, Liverpool at home, Chelsea. No, no, no. Again, maybe you're right with 5 free transfers. You could, or if you've got a free hit, yeah,
yeah,
if I had a free hit, and you haven't burned most of your transfers like Barry and I have, why not? You probably can have a Fulham player for 2 weeks. Doesn't you can afford to do that now, especially with the wild card not
yeah.
too far away.
Let's move on to our rogue, middling, and bankers before we wrap up for this week. But yeah, Stephen, it's been a weird week, I'd say. But who have you gone for in those categories?
So my banker is actually Matheus Nunes at City. I think Pep Roulette is starting to fade away. He got another assist, and he's just getting. They look good for clean sheets, and he's just getting lots of returns, basically. So I've gone for him. My middling is someone I've already mentioned, which is Dorgu, which is I think he's going to play now. Now that Man you've lost a lot of their teams. The reason why he's my middling and not my rogue is because my rogue is I'm bringing back the rogue captaincy shout. And bearing in mind that Erling Haaland has West Ham at home, i.e.
Yeah,
at the Etihad, not going against him, you would say, is pretty rogue. But I'm going for Semenyo. I think this is peak FPL. Everyone's
yeah.
selling him. Everyone's like he's dead. He's gone. He's a loser. This is the time he comes back to haunt all FPL. So I'll be captaining Semenyo this week.
And that's the
Also, I
rogue
mean, as a
shout.
shot, I'm doing terribly. I'm like 5 million or something. So I actually am five. I've just gone over the 5 million mark. So I'm going to be going hyper rogue for the rest of the season now. There's absolutely
Good,
no point playing it. So yeah.
nice.
If you want some rogue captaincy shouts, this is your podcast.
Brilliant. Well, I'll try and do the less rogue one. I'm probably just going to stick on Haaland. But in terms of my shouts, my banker is Morgan Rogers. I think just I've convinced myself almost of this because sort of looking at the stats there, like I think he just ticks along really nicely. I think if you look at the £7 million players in the game, I think he's the best. I think Neto's been ticking along quite nicely, but he gets subbed quite a lot. Morgan Rogers is a 90-minute man. And I think we're not in the European fixtures at the moment, so I think for now he's very, very good. And I think those next couple of fixtures are really, really positive for him. My middling, it doesn't sound middling, but it's middling because of the rotation risk, is Ekatike. I think,
Yeah,
he's one
we
of the
didn't talk
few.
about him actually.
No, I mean, look, we can't talk about every game because otherwise we'll be here for hours. But
Mm.
yeah, look, he just seems to be a man that's sort of settled into the Liverpool shirt really nicely. He obviously does make a few errors. Like he in this game, I watched the highlights obviously, but in this game he was electric. Like he was skinning players, going around them and trying to score. Now what he should do is skin the players and then realise there's an overlap on one side because he's got two players on him and pass the ball. He hasn't done that last part yet. As soon as he starts doing that, he's going to get a lot more goals, a lot more assists. He's going to be like the Bobby Firmino that they used to have. But I think he's a very similar player, so he could be the person that stitches it all together. But he's young, so he'll learn that.
Do you
Um,
think? Do you think it's over for Isaac? As I mean, it
well, this is why.
sounds strange saying it, but I'm sorry. Like, I mean, he's kept Salah. He kept Salah out of the team, and obviously Salah had that outburst and whatever. But to be fair to Slot, he has by and large dropped players when he's needed to, and not I don't say consistently, but surely Isaac can't have any complaints.
No,
And if
and the thing is that
Ekitike starts every week and keeps playing as he does, he's very interesting.
yeah, I mean, Isaac is he didn't work for across the summer, so he didn't play. He didn't do any of the preseason. He's not up to standard. He's not up to fitness. Like in the West Ham game, or was it the West Ham game? One of the games before he scored, Slot made the comment that he was on his hunches. He was leaning over like blowing because he was just not fit. And then at half time when he was taken off, he was asked to do shuttle runs after the game, or and during the half time as well, because he needs to get his fitness up. And I think until his fitness is there, he's not an option for Slot. He really isn't. And so that means Ekatike has to play more. He's scoring lots of goals. He's a fan favourite. He misses a lot of chances as well. He could have easily got a hat trick in this game. There was one where it came across a lovely bit of work on the wing by Kirkes actually, and he sort of leant back and it went over the bar. But that could have been another, and then you'd be talking about a hat trick. But I think if you are one of those brave people that have gone for Ekatike on the basis that they believe Slot isn't a moron and they believe that Ekatike should be playing more minutes than Isaac, well done to you, because I think that he's definitely there. But he is expensive. I mean, he's what, 8.5, 8.7, maybe something like that, which is a lot of dough considering when you want Bruno, you want Saka, you want Haaland, you want Foden. There's a lot of money to spend on a player that may be benched any week, and given
Yeah.
their fixture congestion, not sure. But that's why he's in my in middling category. But I think if it became clearer, if Isaac got a horrendous injury, God forbid, I think Ekatike would be a really solid choice for players, and then you could go for a cheapie in the forward line and just try and sort of muddle through. And then my rogue shout, Stephen, someone that you love to slate, someone who has scored in the last 4 games and plays for the mighty Leeds. It is Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Of course.
Now, we did talk about Isidore being the best 5.5. Well, I said the best 5.5 in the game, but Calvert-Lewin is the same price. And yes, I know he's minutes away from getting a horrific injury or missing from 5 yards. But in his last 4 games, 7 points, 9 points, 6 points, 9 points. XG's all over the shop, really. I mean, the Chelsea game in next year 1.38, which shows more about his shooting ability, of course.
Did he?
Yes, he did,
Wow.
Stephen.
And he got how many goals in that game?
He got one. He got the one.
Okay.
So he's matching his XG. I think over the last couple of game weeks, he's matched his XG. He's been slowly building. He's got 85 minutes in the Chelsea game, 90 minutes to Liverpool, 90 minutes to Brentford. He's got Palace, Sunderland, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle. It's not great fixtures. Leeds are going to need him to do bits. Yeah, they're going to need him to do bits. But as with all forwards, if he's scoring, he's getting the bonus. So again, he could be a 5.5. It was 5.6 now. A 5.5 sort of level striker. You stick on the bench. He's 3.8% owned. Yeah, what's not to love?
Well, one, the fixtures which you've already highlighted for me. Two, as you said, he's seconds away from missing open goals and everything else we know about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. The one thing I will say I mean, I obviously won't be owning him, but the one thing I will say is fair play to Fark actually and the Leeds players. I mean, every time you see a relegation team with like we're just going to sack the manager, a lot of players just down their tools and go, okay, do nothing, let the manager get sacked, and then we'll start again. Leeds have not done that. Leeds have not done that, and you got to give credit to Fart there. He's obviously doing something there where the players think this guy knows what he's doing, and it would be a mistake to get rid of him. However, no. I mean, his goal against Brentford was actually quite nice. It was just a good, clean header. But still, no. No. We've all seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin have those games, and I just can't. I can't face owning a player who does that.
Yeah.
His misses are truly, truly spectacular at times. He's a player who I thought was left-footed for so long, and I found out he was actually right-footed, but he's so bad that I didn't actually know what foot he was, just by watching lots of games of him. Which you could argue says a lot about me as well, but nevertheless, I think it says more about Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, well, I think that's the reason why he's in my road category, Stephen. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's wrap it up for this week as we've kind of gone on a bit. But we will try and record during the Christmas break, although it might be a bit tricky given that the games come thick and fast. But given that is the case, we always say do not make early transfers, although with this crazy market, it might be worth doing so.
Agree with that. I think now you have to. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
if you've got 500,000 sloshing around, then fine. But if your bank is tight, you're gonna have to unfortunately take the risk and go for it. I mean, I've got 0.1. I had to go. I've got 0.1 million left. If I'd gone for Foden by the end of the week, could I have afforded that? Probably not, right? So, yeah, be cognizant of how much money you've got in the bank.
Cool. I think we'll do one more pod next week, but then you've got some quick fixtures going through into the new year when everyone's busy / drunk. So yeah, we'll try and come back to you a bit later on. But yeah, I think we'll do one more before the Christmas break. But again, play it your way. Make sure you have a good time and don't stress too much about it. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.